Hey Jack, Chat Womack here with your swing assessment. Going to be going over a couple things. First thing is your visual report. So I just wanted to show you what it is. This system is a system where it takes the test that we've done here, the evaluation, and it designs eye training exercises for you that can help improve any of these areas. And so I do it with my oldest son, and it's very much helped his eyes. But you do score pretty well in most areas. There was one little issue. The areas I'm looking for are alignment, depth perception, convergence, and divergence. Um, and recognition is going to help you identify pitches earlier as well. So there's a couple pieces here. One, alignment. Your left eye looks at something and your right eye looks at something, and are your eyes telling the brain that that object is in the same space? Your eyes align well, so that's perfect. You're in the 100th percentile, so they have perfect alignment. Depth perception, you're able to perceive all the depths very well, so you have great depth perception in the 100th percentile, actually, so it's excellent. Convergence, you're in the 92nd percentile. These are of kids under 18, so this is excellent as well. It's your left and right eye have to kind of go slightly cross-eyed in the last 10-15 feet of ball flight in order to track an object properly. To make contact. Usually catchers score really high in this, and contact hitters. Divergence is the ability to see something and judge it far away. So usually outfielders will score better in this, catchers will score better in this. This also, when it comes to hitting, is how well you can tell where balls are going to land out of the pitcher's hand and see pitch types, okay, or pitch shapes. So you're only in the 40th percentile here. So this is a skill set that that I would recommend that you work on if you want to be a great hitter. And then recognition. So recognition, you're only in the 31st percentile. So this is something, again, about, let's see, it actually has a definition down here. Pick up pitch types and improve overall anticipation and baseball IQ. So, and tracking was, what are you at? You're in the 28th percentile, so may help you have reaction times to moving target, particularly on defense. So this is involving a little bit more peripheral vision type stuff. The one that I think is going to be the biggest effect on your hitting is the divergence, just being able to see stuff from further away and judge where it's going to go faster. So if I were to show you my son's, actually I won't take the time to tell you, but basically he did the eye training program that this recommended for 3 months, and it bumped all of his scores by like 30%. So if that's something you want to do, I recommend it. It's an at-home training program that you can do on your own. It's a 3-day-a-week program, and it will improve your other visual skills. It certainly has for mine. It's like weightlifting for your eyes. But you are like, there's no like red flags of like, oh, you have a visual problem. You see well enough to hit. So that's the first check box. But if you want to improve it, check out the link in the YouTube description video to the training for the system. Now let's look at the next part that we assess. So in your batted ball profile, what we want to look at here is we want to set a baseline for where your performance is at, and then we also want to see if we see any red flags. So when it comes to baseline, I want to analyze you from a power standpoint first. So we want to come in here, want to take away the pitches that you did not receive as a pitch, and I want to look at how hard you can hit the ball when the ball is being thrown a little bit faster. Okay, so on average, you're averaging 53.3 miles an hour, and you're maxing out at 68.4 miles an hour. When my son was on the majors level teams, at 13, we had about half of the team, maybe closer to a third. We got them up to 80 miles an hour. So that's like a 12-mile-an-hour deal. They were a little bit bigger kids than you are, but I still would like to. We need to move faster. I'd like to see if we can't get you up over 75 miles an hour, right? Like could we gain 7 miles an hour on a bat speed training program? And can we do that? Your batting average on balls in play was only 300, and when we sped up the machine, you were able to hit the line drives when the pitches were 45 to 55 miles an hour. You were able to hit 33% line drives, but when we sped it up, it dropped to 8, and you started to ground out a lot. So I got to look at why that is the case. But I would like to add 7 miles an hour. So we do that with a 3 to 4 day a week bat speed training program that we recommend. A combination of doing that in the cages with us and at home, or just coming into the facility and doing it, but doing it on your own. Let me show you, just explain how that program works really quick. The Axe Bat Speed program is something that we have been using for a long time, have adopted. We use a lot of their bats. It's basically based off of swinging bats that are 20% heavier and 20% lighter than your bat. And these are those bats right here. We have overload, the barrel load they'll call it, is 20% heavier on the end. We have a handle load, which is 20% heavier on the handle. Then we have an underload bat. And what happens is if you follow the bat speed training program that I'll outline here real quick, you will see dramatic improvements in bat speed. So this right here is a actual study that they did. If I blow it up, they've done this. Every one of these is citing in different studies. So they've done this all the time. And what they see basically is that you can get an 8% increase. These guys got a 6 to 10% increase. These guys another 8% increase. When you swing bats that are 20% heavier than your game bat and 20% lighter on a 6 to 12 week basis, which is what these studies are, and you swing 3 to 5 days a week, you'll see your bat speed go up 10 miles an hour. So, or sorry, 10%. So this is a big deal. The way the program kind of works is it's broken out into a couple phases. One, you're going to want to have some heavy bats. We absolutely have those bats in our facilities. And if you don't, you're going to want to find some version of these heavy bats. I can walk you through how to make your own, or you can, you can do your own. But the way it works is there's different drills that we will give you depending on what we see in this assessment. And some of these will be the same as these drills, but these target different areas of the swing. So from, we'll show you how to do these different drills. And then what happens is the training program will look like this. So like this is a 12-week training program. Week number 1, we might give you 3 bat speed drills that you'll do on the tee, and the BL stands for barrel load, HL stands for handle load, U stands for underload, and R stands for regular game bat. And so you're going to do this drill, the walkthrough drill, 3 times. With each bat, you'll use a bat sensor and you will record the bat speeds that you got, your best bat speed each bat, like in a little journal. And then you'll come through and you'll do the rocker drill, and you will do that the same way. And then, you'll just go through the program. You're trying to just see how well you can do to beat your scores each time. You'll do some of those drills on the tee, and then essentially you do some of those drills with front toss. You start going 2 to 3 days a week. And as you build up more capacity, you move into the 3 to 5 days a week range. And if you do that over 12 weeks, it works almost every time, and you get a lot stronger. So what we recommend is that we will show you how to do these drills inside of our facilities. We will be tracking these, and you're more than welcome to do the 2 or 3 days a week of bat speed and everything with us, or you can do 1 day a week with us, 2 at home, 2 days a week with us, 2 at home, whatever you want. But this is kind of how the program works, and this is what it takes to build up that bat speed. But it's absolutely great, and as you can see with the studies, it works regularly over the course of 6 to 12 weeks. Will add 10% to how fast you're swinging and hitting the ball. So I mean, at 10%, it's like 7 to 8 miles an hour to how hard you can hit a ball if you can improve your bat speed by 10%. So that is how our bat speed training program works. So with you having an average of 53.3 and a max of 68.4, we think that, if you'd put in a solid 2 to 3 months of bat speed training program, whether we decide to do that now or we decide to do that in the off season, these can be closer to getting you to 60 miles an hour on average velo, and the max getting closer to 75, right? Like that'd be our goal there. So that's that. Now let's look at contact quality. So when I look at contact quality, I'm looking for red flags. So the first red flag that I see here is this is the chart of the hitter strike zone from the catcher's perspective. This is the inside corner of the plate. This is the outside corner of the plate. And basically you have like a lot of like mid to upper 50s on the inner 2/3. And then you see a 10 or I guess it's a 10 or almost a 20 mile an hour drop off on the outer third of the plate. You just do not strike this ball well. So that's a mechanical thing that I want to look at in the film that I'm going to make sure I go look for. On average, the balls you're hitting are going 15.2 degrees. When you hit them hard, they're going 16.5. That's a great range, being between 10 and 20. So on average, that looks okay. Although we need to go dig a little bit deeper. So let's look at your spray chart. Take out the T. And I see a little bit of grounders here. Like you said in the game, you're grounding out in the game. I don't necessarily see that here. What I do see as a red flag is this this right center gap is your furthest hit, which are great that you can do that. And we want to be able to do that, so it's awesome that they're there, but you should then have an even bigger gap over here on the left side. So you're not lifting the ball in the air as much as we want. So in fact, when you hit the ball to the left side of the field, only 3% of your hits went to the outfield. The rest are ground balls. 15% of your hits, like just most of your hits are going, I guess most of your hits were going to the infield. If I take away the T's, that's still the case. Yeah, so these are ground balls. Okay. Okay, so that's that. So then the other thing we want to see, so too many ground balls, right? We want more balls to be going up in the air. When we look at your hits to left field, we want to see how you're generating bat speed. So left field hits, these should be our strongest hits because when you pull the ball, you have the longest amount of time to build up bat speed. Your bat gets to move farther before it hits the ball. So these should be your hardest. You average 50.2 miles an hour to left field. You average 56.5 miles an hour to center field, and you average 51.3 to right. So this drop off from center to right's okay, but that you don't have this being harder. So if you can go 56 to center, these should be the left field should be 58 or something like that. So we have a problem. We have a pulling problem here that we need to see why we have a pulling problem. So mechanically, we got to go look at that. And all of your hard hits, all your balls over 65 were only inner third. Even all your ones over 60 were only inner third. And so you can't hit the ball over 60 miles an hour from middle to away with this chart. So that would be, I remember seeing some that are a little bit different, but this outer third still, we got no reds on the outer third. So we would want to make sure that we work on that. Line drive percentage was 12%, fly balls 38, ground balls 50. So let's go look at the film and see if we can find some answers to these, but we want to improve how hard we can hit the ball left field, and we want to up our line drive range so we're not hitting so many ground balls when it comes to contact quality. So let's go hop into the film and see what we can find on helping you do that. And before we look at his actual film, let me just show you what we're looking for here. First thing we're going to do is we want to load phase of the swing. So this is Bryce Harper, and here's what we're looking for in the load. We see an obvious move backwards to have the hitter get into his back leg. When that happens, a couple of things are happening. You see the belt buckle is pointing at the catcher. He turns it back towards the catcher, and you see the front shoulder tucking down and back towards the catcher as well, so that both his chest and belt buckle are pointing more at the catcher in the load phase of the swing. And the load phase starts from the time the foot picks up till right before he starts to go forward. You also see that this top hand starts to pull back into a punching position, and that's what we like with the load phase of the swing. So when we look at your load, I am going to try to see if we see a hip coil. You see the knee right here flare out instead of kind of stay stable inside your foot and screw out. So this is kind of called a hanging back issue. I can't see if your hip, I don't know that it coils. Looks like you're just flaring your right hip out to go forward, not coiling around that hip. Let me see from the back if I can see that this hip coils in the load. Yeah, it doesn't. It just stays straight. So your hips are staying straight. You are coiling your torso, but you're not coiling your hips around your rear right leg. So I'm going to recommend that we do a combination of a rear foot slippery board with some step backs, and add that as part of your bat speed training drills that, like I explained in the bat speed training program, where you're going to come in, you're going to swing the end loaded and the handle loaded and the under loaded from a step back and feel what it's like to coil your hips more, and try to set bat speed records. Keeping a journal, trying to come in every day, beat your bat speed record. Step backs are going to be one of those drills I recommend for you so you can coil. Also, if you don't coil, it's harder to get to the outside pitch. So it's going to help you with that. And then the next thing we want to look at is we want to look at the stride phase of the swing. So here's what we want to have happen. We want to take that from the loaded position, and we want to try to get to this. So here's a good example of a softball player. You'll notice that she does coil and load her hip right there. She went from unloaded to loaded with the hip, front shoulder still coiling down. So there's not really a difference between baseball and softball, in my opinion. You're starting to see her right hand pull back, and she keeps pulling it back until right before her toe touches Right at toe touch, you'll notice that her elbow's pulled back into a punching position. Her hands and elbow are around shoulder height. And if there was a flashlight on the end of the knob of her bat, it would be lighting up the catcher. Okay, so that would be the position that they would land in. And if you go and Google launch position, you'll actually see a great graphic. Or if you don't, I don't know if it'll still be there if you were to search for it, but that's what I did. And you see all these Hall of Fame or All-Star hitters, all of their front shoulders are coiled down and back, all of them when they hit. So this is one of those kind of absolutes that they all do. They're all down and back. All of their hands and elbows are pulled back to around shoulder height into a punching position. And if they had flashlights on their knob of their bat, that knob would be pointing at the catcher. So those are kind of some guidelines about, like, that's the position we want to get to in the stride. The stride is the goal of the stride is to get it so that we continue to pull back into a nice, strong, loaded launch position, so that when our foot is about to hit the ground, we can start to explode. So that's what we're trying to do here. When we look at your stride phase, does this rear elbow and scap pull back behind your body as you're striding? It looks like it does. So the stride phase is that looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. Let's look from the side. Is your front shoulder getting down in the stride phase? Are you adding more torso? Yes. We'll talk about the launch here, stride here in a second. Again, this rear knee is back over your toe, so you are you're deciding to push with your quad instead of ride a coiled hip out. I'm going to recommend that the way you go forward with your body, you want to go hook 'em here. And learn what it's like to ride out your back hip longer. I usually use hook 'em to do an upper body adjustment, but I want to use it to focus on the lower body as well. So we'll do a rear foot slippery board hook 'em, so you feel what it's like to coil as you drive out, and just have a different type of emotion with the way your leg is working. And this will allow you to wait longer on pitches, so you're not always feeling like you're tipping forward and lunging at the ball. When we're pushing with our quad, and if we're a little bit early, we end up being lungy. We need to learn how to ride the back hip out. So hook 'em with a rear foot slippery board is what I'm going to recommend for your second drill here. Then the next thing we want to look at is the launch phase of the swing. So what the launch is as the heel starts to interact with the ground, we see that the hips really start to open and they fire first. This is what we want to see, firing first, while that upper body maintains its upper body coil, and the hips are firing first. And we are seeing a stretch, and the hips fire first, and the hands don't go until we are launched. So that is what we want to see here. Front shoulder still down as the heel is starting to get into the ground, and this stretch across the shirt. When it comes to the launch of your swing, if we look at what your body's doing as your toes starting to come down, you're moving your hands, your foot's down, and I don't see an automatically opening hip. You're moving your hands down first. So this is out of sequence. So like with Freddie Freeman, as his heel is getting to the ground, his hands are still pulling back. Yours are coming forward. So it is possible that you can start moving your hands before your front foot comes down, but Barry Bonds hit that way, but he still was firing his hips first, then his shoulders, then his arm, then his wrists. And right now you look like you're firing your upper body before your hips. So your hips aren't firing first. So for this is a sequencing drill series. What we'd like to recommend is a drill called Big Papi. And we really want to, when we do Big Papi as your third bat speed training drill, you could track your bat speed on it, but I want to track the rotational acceleration, because this is how fast you rotate. And rotating your body by firing hips first and upper body second is faster. And we generate more G-forces. So that's what we want to track here. And it'll make your time to contacts go faster as well. So you can then wait longer to identify pitches. So if we just look at what your speeds were, you were 2.7 G-forces, 2.5, you did get a 9.0, a 6.9, a 4.1, 2.5, 6.2, 7.4, 4.6, 7.9. Every now and then you get a good one, but we want to see these get, we want to get them above 15 for a 13-year-old. So certainly above 10. Trying to make these faster is definitely going to be something that'll be a third bat speed training drill that we're going to try to get you to. And another thing, what our goal is with this bat speed, swinging a drop 3 bat, is by the time you're a freshman, we want to be swinging at 60 miles an hour, okay? Varsity players swing at 60 to 70 miles an hour. The good varsity players are 65 to 70 miles an hour. The ones going to play some Division I college are 70 miles an hour. So this just has to be something that we work towards, getting this to 60. Like, that has to be a priority and a goal. Like, I don't know that we're going to get there right away, but like, this needs consistent work. We can add 5 or 8 to this in the next 3 months, and then we can add another 5 to 8 with a heavy off season of lifting and another round of bat speed training to make this get up to 60. But that's what you're going to try to do. This, just keep that in the back of your mind as you move forward towards high school. I know it's a couple years off, but we want to be hunting for that number. Okay. When we look at your swing phase, let's look at a couple things here. Lower half first, I want to see if this right hip pulls the right foot off the line. It does, into a straight front leg. Your front leg is a little bent there. Let's see if that's a trend or if that was just one swing. That's a good straight front leg, although on this time your leg goes backwards. And this time, see, this is a decent position. Your head is above your rear hip. Sorry, let me look at a couple things first. So let's see, what's this one look like? Went backwards. Right hip, right foot goes forward. But when it goes forward, you're on a bent front leg. And when it goes backwards, you're on a straight leg. So you have oh, that's the one I want right here. Okay. This is what it's supposed to look like. So this front leg is straightening into contact. The head is over the right hip, and the right foot is being pulled forward. So this is great position. Yeah, this is good position. But you don't get there very often. And so I think that when you're early, you bend your front knee to adjust to be early, and when you're late, you squish back. And I think this is going to be cleaned up by working with slow-mo hook'em drills, learning. I think it's from the setup, like this part of your stride right here where this knee kicks out over your back foot allows you to have, you're guessing when to go, so you start to push off on your quad. And if you guess wrong, you bend your front leg and you lean forward and you're early. If you're late and you push back too late, you squish back to try to realize that you are late and your body's trying to go like in backwards motion just so you don't be late on the fastball. And then when you're on time, it looks good. So mechanically, at least you want to move this way. So we don't have to train your lower half how to move differently in the swing phase of your swing. It's just that your timing piece doesn't allow you to consistently get here. So that's one thing we want to work out with that. Okay. Yeah, I think that you just have to learn how to be on time. Then let's look at the wrists. For grounding out, I want to see your attack angles first thing we look at. So if your attack angles are negative or below 6, that's going to cause ground out. So you're 16, that means the angle of your barrel is moving up. 13, what else we got? 16, 6, 5, 10, 12, 22. So the attack angle is not the issue. Yeah, attack angle is not the issue. Here you're like reaching for this pitch again on the outer part of the plate. We'll look at that. But what happens when I see your wrists? I want to go back to that good swing. When your bat is pointing at the pitcher, do you see this right here? Your palms are, if you open up your right palm, your palm is facing the wall. And what you want to see is the palm facing the sky. So his left wrist is pointing at the sky, his right wrist is pointing, his right palm is pointing up, and this is happening. What you're doing is called a rollover. So rollovers cause ground balls, okay? So we don't want to do this rollover. The other thing that you'll notice is your chest is pointing directly at the pitcher. So your chest stops at contact, okay? Your shoulders stop rotating at contact. They stop here. What Dansby Swanson example here. Watch how his right shoulder is going to continue to drive. it never stops at contact. It continues to drive through. Okay, so this is we call this just poor contact out front. Type of a training bucket. Sorry, I got something in my throat. And we have a drill for cleaning this up. We call it front hip tosses. We have a series of drills actually that work with this, from bottom hand baby bat to a drill called swingman that focuses on your shoulders. There's a couple pieces that we'll work with here, but we want to clean this up so that you learn what it's like to not roll over when you pull the ball, and that will help you hit the ball harder to the left side of the field, because when you roll, your barrel goes, it doesn't stay on plane. It actually bounces up and you hit the top half of the ball as the barrel moves up when you rotate your wrist. So that's something that we have to clean up from a contact quality standpoint. So if you want to start to work on these areas of the swing with us, here's how we structure our training, right? So we've looked at the flaws, so to speak, or the things we want to at least target and work on. And in the YouTube description section of the video, we will put the drills that we recommend that they do right now. Now those will change over time, but what happens as the athletes clean those movements up, or as they get better, or we move from a different phase, from like a off-season bat speed phase to an in-season like approach phase, where we're just trying not to swing at bad pitches in the dirt or chase high fastballs or whatever it is. So whatever it is, they'll come in and work on those drills, and they'll typically do something like come to a tee, and we'll give them a bat sensor, and they'll do drill number 1 on the tee, and that drill will have a certain metric that will pop up. This is like a example here where they might have a bat speed goal, they might have an attack angle goal, they might have some other goal that the bat sensor is actually giving them. They'll work that drill to try to find that movement solution on the tee. Then once they do that, we will challenge that by moving them over to a cage where the ball is moving. That might be a front toss cage. It might be a junior hack pitching machine that's going like at a half speed, or not full speed, but it's actually moving, and they'll have to practice that drill. And this time they'll practice that drill with a sensor again, but now they'll have some overload bats, some underload bats, some different bats that are good at trying to help that athlete adapt to the movement we're trying to get them to do, and make them stronger and more explosive. Then once that happens, we will move them on, and we want to measure the quality of contact. So we'll move them on to some sort of ball flight tracking machine where they will face more like game-like velocity. Sometimes we'll have them do the drills on game-like velocity. Other times it's just like, all right, take those movements that you just felt from the tee and the half-speed machine, and go try to feel those movements and add them to your regular swing while we track ball flight. So we'll do that. We're tracking progress, and then they'll get that round in, and then they'll rotate out to some sort of a medicine ball station where they're really going to work on driving output with medicine balls, and that can be age dependent as well. The high schoolers, we actually like to give them a round off because they're pretty gassed. Younger kids, we like to put them right into a medicine ball because they don't use as much energy per rep, and they can go right into a medicine ball station that are really, really good at cleaning up movements. Either way, we'll tailor it for the athlete, but that's how we do it. So with high school kids or older, we hit 3 days a week. With kids that are not in high school yet, we hit 2 days a week, where we come in, we just bang that stuff out, and we track the progress, making sure the numbers are trending in the right direction, tweaking the program as necessary, and we hit a lot. And when it comes to what we charge, here's kind of how we offer our pricing. What we basically do is we've got 3 different options. So number 1 is $480 a month for 8 lessons, which breaks out to $60 a lesson. Typically people like to do this if they're wanting to train for like a solid month. They want to come in a couple times a week. This is the rate for high school and youth athletes. The difference that we do offer is we do give an extra day a week for the high school athlete because we think they need to hit more than the youth athlete. It's time for them to take the training more seriously. We do offer an extra day of access for the high school athlete, and we offer access to our weight room for no additional cost. So that is the option. That's option number 1. If you just want to pay for lessons at a time. What most people tend to do though is they tend to go with a monthly membership. So this is where we put a credit card on file, and we train twice a week for non-high school kids. We train 3 times a week for high school kids, and that basically gets you 8 sessions in a month at a $50 rate for per session, which is a little bit more economical, and that rebuilds every 30 days. There's no long-term contract. You don't have to start at the beginning of the month. You want to start tomorrow, then yeah, you fill out the form. I can just let me know. I'll send you a form to fill out, and every 30 days that will bill for that. That breaks down to non-high school athletes are getting $50 per session. High school athletes, it breaks down to like only $33 a session. So it's just basically like a gym membership place for your kid to come in and really grind and get the work in. And then we do have I call it a maintenance mode. Kind of 2 ways this does. This is the people who have either a really busy schedule or they've just gone into season where they want to still work, but it just doesn't make sense, whether schedule-wise or economically, to do the training twice a week or 3 times a week. We can go down to a once-a-week module or training session. Those break down. It's $200 a month, and that breaks down to, at a session a week, $50 a session. And that's a good way for people to go in and maintain what we've worked on. If they're struggling with curveballs, this will be like in-season and game-specific stuff. So typically, if we're in season, where, all right, I'm getting struck out on curveballs. All right, we're going to fire up the pitching machine and throw you curveballs. I'm a 12U All-Star. They're going to struggle against facing some new velocities come tournament season. All right, we're going to pump you up with some newer velocities, right? We just give whatever kids need at this time. The other thing that we offer this for is preseason. So when kids are coming in the off season and they're like, I don't know if I want to go 2 times a week, it might be too much. We personally believe that you cannot get better as a hitter unless you hit 2 or 3 times a week. Like it's a pipe dream to think that can happen. I understand that you might not want to come out and train with me 2 times a week, just, for schedules or costs. But what we recommend is if you're going to choose the once a week option, typically for like a youth athlete who you want to train to get better, we don't do these unless you purchase a batting sensor, which is it's a bat sensor. You can get them off of Amazon. You can buy them from us during checkout with the training, but it's a bat sensor that can monitor your kid's bat speed, and we will give them homework assignments to do on the tee at home. And the kids, I used to do lessons where we let kids just hit once a week and then we didn't give them the bat sensor. And the kids that have a bat sensor versus not have a bat sensor, it's amazing the difference, the progress that they make when there's this tool that's telling them with every swing. They take a swing, it reads their bat speed or it reads whatever metrics we're trying to clean up. And the kids get instant feedback and they grind and they start to like really make way more progress session per session. If you don't get a bat sensor, then basically the kids hardly progress per session. They do get better, but it's like super slow. So that's how we do our pricing. So if you have any questions, let me know. And if you want to get things scheduled, let me know what days work and we can start to get you on the calendar. Come in and start work on this stuff. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.